Hi YouTube, I'm Aiman, and welcome back to one of my cooking videos. In this video, I'm going to show you how to cook Mee Kari, or basically spaghetti with curry, chicken, and shrimp, or beef, or whatever ingredients you would like to use. I mean, there are many different styles and types of Mee Kari. However, in this video, I'm going to teach you how to cook my dad's world-renowned Mee Kari. I mean, it's not really world-renowned, but he wants to say it like it is. So, not only am I going to teach you how to cook Mee Kari, I'm going to teach you how to manage your time effectively. And right, as you can see here, we're boiling eggs before we start cooking. So, usually we would use curry, if you've ever seen my cooking curry videos. However, we're going to be using fish curry too, because not only because we have shrimp, but because fish curry is just a bit spicier than the regular meat curry. We're using a mix of fish curry and meat curry in ours. As you can see here. Alright, so as for ingredients go, we have lemongrass, ginger, ginger, garlic, onions, galanga, our regular saute mix, coconut milk, fishball, and then we have garnishes like fish tofu, regular tofu, I guess more onions, green sprouts, Malaysian spinach, and limes and chilies. Last but not least, let's not forget the spaghetti. Also, your choices of meat. We have chicken, beef, or shrimp. Our ingredients and amounts, I'll list them in the description below if you don't follow them quite clearly. As for our curry, we use 3 tablespoons of meat curry and 3 tablespoons of fish curry. And I should also mention that there are 3 different types of fishball here. There's white fishball, fried fishball, and fish tofu. They actually come from Malaysia, so that's good. Alright, so these ingredients, we're going to blend them, so let's go do it right now. Alright, so it's done blending. However, the way that we're going to do this is a bit different. First, we're going to saute this in a different pan, and since we need the flavor, however, my brothers don't like small bits and pieces in their food, we're going to strain it so that we only have the oil in there, so that we can still have the flavor, but not the little bits and pieces. So first, I'm going to put the oil in. Make sure it doesn't overflow. Then, I'm going to turn it on and wait for it to get hot. Alright, so as you saw, there was no fire, but there's fire right now, so it's getting hot. So I'm going to test it out by sprinkling some water on it. And it's hot. So now we can put our saute mix in. I should mention that you don't have to do this if you don't have any issues with small bits or pieces in your food. You can always saute them in this pan as well, or pot. Golden brown. Alright, so now we can strain it. So I'm going to use this tiny strainer, and we should be able to catch all the saute mix in there, but and it's perfect. Alright, so now we can turn this low and turn this on. I mean, turn this off and turn this on. Alright, so now we'll get rid of this. Alright, so now we wait until the oil gets hot, and when it does get hot, we're going to turn it to medium-high and put our blended mix in. And then you want to saute it. After you're done sauteing it, you can add the curry, and then set it to medium-low. Alright, it smells like it's cooked because onions, when they're cooked, they have this unique smell to them, and definitely have that unique smell. So now we can add the curry powder. It's a bit hard because it's a bit thick. And then you want to saute it on medium-low or medium. However, for this video, we're going to do it on medium-low so it doesn't burn. I'm using an extra long spoon to cook this because it's safer. It's also better to use a larger pot, a taller pot, so it's more safer, especially if you're a kid like me. Alright, so now it looks like the eggs are boiling. They're done. So now I can turn them off and let it cool. Alright, so once it looks cooked, you can tell it's cooked when it breaks the oil, which you can see closely. Now we can put the chicken in. Alright. And then once you put the chicken in, we're going to bring it to a boil. And then when it reaches a boil, we can start simmering it and turn our attention to other things, you know, because of time management. You could always prepare them earlier, the ingredients. However, this is easier or faster because it's in between. Alright, so while that is cooking, we can turn our attention to other things like fishball, cutting the tofu, or other things. But for now, we're going to start with spaghetti, which is perhaps one of the most simplest things you can do because the instructions are on the back. So we're going to use a whole box for this. That means 5 quarts of water and a tablespoon of salt. My dad likes to use butter when he is cooking spaghetti. However, I don't really see the point of that since the water tenderizes the butter anyway. So first, we're going to turn this on and wait for it to boil. You can add salt to reduce flavor, to add flavor and reduce stickiness. According to the box, it says 1 tablespoon of salt. So, alright, so that's a tablespoon. Then we wait for it to boil, and then we put in the spaghetti strands, or noodles. Alright, so now that it looks cooked, we're going to add some sky juice. And if you want to keep the texture of the soup thick, then you can always add curry and onions. We're going to fill this up to about 1/3 of the pot so that we don't have to worry about mixing as much. And then we can just turn our attention to other things for now. Alright, so next we're going to cut the tofu into thirds, and I apologize if I cut it wrong or with the wrong knife, but I'm just a kid. So when we do this, we're going to take a pan, we're going to put it on the stove, then we're going to put some oil on it. And when the oil gets hot, we're going to put the tofu in. Okay. So now just wait until it gets hot. Alright, so we already tested it with water to make sure the oil is hot, and now since it's hot, we can put the tofu on. And I should warn you, when you're doing this, you want to make sure that you put this carefully because this is water-based, so that when you put it, it's going to splash, so you want to put this carefully. It did splash a little, but that's alright. Alright, so as you can see, we converted to a much larger pot for practicability. So you want to flip this when it just turns yellow, when oil's covering it. And as you can see right here, the pot for spaghetti is boiling, so now we can put the spaghetti in. Make sure you want to put it carefully. It might be too much at one time, so just pour the rest of it Oh yeah. And then just spread it out so that every part of it can get covered in water. Now I converted to a way better utensil for cooking spaghetti. I mean, spaghetti isn't the focus of this video, so if I don't do it correctly, you can always go to another video. For now, we're gonna let this sit for 11 minutes and turn our attention to the tofu. It looks like we can flip it now, so you want to take your tongs and you just want to flip them. It's sprinkling a lot. When we flip the tofu, we want to look how it's cooked. So basically what we want is crunchy on the outside and white on the inside. As you can see, it's perfect right here. So now we're going to flip it over to see if it's good. And it's good, so that means we can, I guess, we can strain it with a paper towel in a bowl. You can use tongs for this. I'm going to use this. Okay. Easy, gently. Then you can turn off your heat. So next we cut the onions. We have the cut onions here and the whole onions right here. Next, while the oil is hot, we're going to put the onions in. So in this video, it's not only time management, it's using logic while cooking. So if you already have a hot pan of oil, might as well use it. Yeah. A-okay. Alright, so my mom and my dad really like onions, so we really want them dark and crispy. Looks like our pasta is almost done. So right now we're going to turn our attention to the fish balls. So we're going to cut them into quarters. So let me show you. Alright, so basically, we're just going to split it in half and then split it in half again. So let me show you. Take one of them. Then we can cut it in half. Then, we're going to split it in half again. And then split it in half again. And that's simple. And then, we're going to cut more. And then, when we take out the pasta, we're going to put all our fish balls in the pot so that we can use the water as well. So, more fish balls. Looks like our pasta is ready, so now we can strain it. Alright, so once the pasta is done straining, we're going to take the water that's in here and we're going to pour it back in. Then we're going to take the fish ball and put it in there, because some people like to put the fish ball directly into the curry. However, that changes the taste. It makes it a bit seafood more. However, my dad doesn't really like that, so he wants the fish ball to be cooked before you put it in the curry, so that it doesn't add any more taste. Alright, so now we can put the water back into the pot. Then we can turn it on and put the fishbowl in. Alright. I guess it goes along that you should stir it. So while that's cooking, we can turn our attention to the fried fish ball and the fish tofu. So for cutting the fried fish ball, you can do it however you want. You can cut it into halves or quarters. We're using halves. For the fish tofu, my dad likes to cut it into thin strips of usually 1/4 of an inch thick. If it's too thin, it will become mushy. So basically, 1/4 of an inch. It's gonna have around 5. Or 6. Alright, so now we can put that into our bowl and cut some more to add. Alright, so that's the last of the fried fish bowls and the fish tofu. So next what we're going to do is we're going to mix these two inside the curry. So we can put it in there. Put the fish tofu in there. And use our handy dandy extra long spoon to stir it just a bit. And then we can turn our attention to, oh dear, the fish bowl, which looks just a bit boiled, so we can turn off the heat. Then we can grab our strainer and strain it. Gotta use your oven mitts for this in order to be safe. Alright. It smells good. Then stir it more. And finally we can put this fishbowl in there. And then we can just let it simmer and focus our attention on other things. It looks like the onions aren't cooked yet, so we're gonna focus our attention on the tofu. So we're just gonna cut it in half, the long side. And then once we do that, we can cut it basically the way that we did with the fish tofu. So 1/4 inch thin. Alright, so this is basically garnish. We're not gonna actually mix it with the curry. It's just for people to add if they want to. I don't really add anything when I eat curry. I just like to eat it with the noodles. So it looks like our onions are cooked. That means we can turn off the heat. And then we can strain them, so. And in the meantime, we're going to boil a pot of water. Now we're going to reuse this pan. We're going to scrub it all. And then we're going to reuse it to cook steak. I mean, this is optional. It's also a garnish. I said this is my dad's style, mainly because it has steak, and no one really uses meat. So we put some turmeric and some steak sauce on it, as you can see. And first we're going to put a spoon or two of oil. And then we're going to take our tongs. Then we're going to take our tongs and put them on. The water next to me has boiled. That means we can turn it off. Then we're going to put our bean sprouts in. We used around a half a package. And then we're going to pour it in. You don't really have to cook bean sprouts. You can always eat them raw. So we're going to just wait around 30 seconds. And then I'm going to strain it back into here. So let me add the rest of it in here. Just wait 30 seconds. And then after that, we're going to use it for this. Next, we're going to take the bean sprout and we're going to strain it. Alright. So then when you strain it, you want to strain it, scald water out. Then you want to take the water in this bowl and you want to re-put it back in. And then next, we can focus our attention on the Malaysian spinach. So next, we're going to focus our attention on the Malaysian spinach, or a tawi. So basically, how we're going to prepare it is we're gonna cut an inch or so every part of the stock. And then when you get to the leaf part, you want to separate the stock and put it in the bowl. Then we're going to cut it into thirds, the leaf part, and put them in separate different places. Oh, I'm gonna flip my steak. Don't want to overcook it, of course. You also want to boil your water. And when the steak looks done, you can always put it into the plate. So, continue on, inch or so. While this pot is boiling, we're going to take our stock and we're going to put it in there. Then we're going to wait a minute. After that minute is done, we're going to put the leaves in, and then we're going to turn off the water. This is because you can eat this raw anyway, so it's fine if you don't cook it. I think the proper cooking term for this is called blanching. It's like putting them in boiling water briefly, so that you can prepare them for further cooking. So, looks like it's been about a minute, which means that we can put the leafy greens in. So, then turn off your heat, stirring it a bit. This is also garnished, I should mention. We take the pan that we used for a steak just a minute ago, and we turn on the heat. Next, we're going to put just a teaspoon of oil, and we're going to thinly beat some eggs. This is also optional, I should mention. So basically what we're going to do is going to thinly lay them just to make a thin pancake. And then after we take that pancake and we roll it up and then cut it, I like to call it egg rolls, but I don't think that's the correct term. But I really like it, so I'm going to do it. Teaspoon of oil. Just like thinly lay it. Then you want to spread it around in your pan a bit. Maybe you have to add just a bit more. Alright, looks fine. Next we're going to flip the omelet, the thin pancake, and then we're going to put it onto the plate. I already did that. Then we can put the next one on. So my dad, he likes to pour all of it on, and then he likes to spread it around by tilting the plate. And as you can see, it's almost getting all of it. I just need to. Come on. Just have to get a bit of finagling. Oh. Okay. So now while that is cooking, we can turn our attention to this. So we're gonna roll it up basically. And then when it's rolled up, we're going to cut it into quarter-inch thin strips. Yep. Make sure it's rolled up. I really like these with meehoon, another dish that my mom makes. Alright, so now it's just a matter of cutting stuff, and for the meat, I'm gonna cut it like a quarter-inch thin. I also like to mention that I don't really like the fat that much. This is just fat. Oh dear. I hope I'm not cutting a whole fat. Okay. So, quarter-inch thin is how I like it. Unless I'm eating a whole steak. Then in that case, a whole steak is really good. So anyway, from now on, it's just cutting. So as you can see, we cut up the eggs, we cut up the steak, we cut up the garnish. We're also going to take our boiled eggs here. We're going to crack them, then we're going to cut them however we want them. one thing we forgot to do that we should have done very early on was add coconut milk. However, it's not too late yet because we haven't added the shrimp yet. So basically, we're gonna add shrimp right now. I mean, the coconut milk right now. And then we're going to mix it in. And then when it's finally mixed in and it starts boiling, we can add the shrimp. You also want to add salt and test for the flavor as you go, because right before I said when I taste tested it, it tasted like tom yum, and there was a good reason because we didn't add the coconut milk. It was spicy, but it wasn't. It was bland, so it tasted a bit kind of like tom yum. Not to insult tom yum. Now we have our boiled eggs. We cut them however we want. We can cut it horizontally, vertically, or for some reason hexagonal. And next we take our tamarind juice and then we strain it and add it, just to make it just a bit sour. Mix it in there. I don't see a spoon so I can do a final taste test, but that's alright. Do it later. It does smell good, and my glasses are clouding up. That's good. My mom did a final taste test, and she said it was perfect. So now, this is the stage to add the shrimp. So we're just going to put it in there. Then stir it a bit. And then, what should come out is our final dish. Mee Kari a la my dad's style. Or, as I said in the beginning, spaghetti with curry and chicken and shrimp and all the other ingredients that we added. It smells good. And then we have the spaghetti right here and the eggs. So that's a recipe for a good dish. I think I'm gonna get my brother or my mom to come down here and taste it. Alright, so here I have my brother Azami as a guest star. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me.
And my cat Burton. Alright, so they're gonna be, Azami's gonna be our taste testers. And Burton's just gonna look on in jealousy. Alright, I'm gonna taste.
It's great.
Alright. Thanks for being on the show. Alright. So, you heard him, guys. He said it's great. Alright, so, it's time for me to clean up. I'm Aiman, and thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Look at other videos on EYeOnAiman, especially the cooking videos. And, I guess, sign out. Peace.